African American was the absolute worst title they could have given us, period. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Oh my goodness, it's been a minute. Who has been a minute? Y'all, I just got off vacation. I just went to go see my family up north. So yeah, I took a little break. And when I got home, the first thing I noticed on social media was this conversation about Black Indigenous people, Black Native Americans.
What the hell? What the hell, Yante?
People, talking about whether they're African or if they're Native American. There was just this whole war on Threads. So today we about to talk about this. We about to get into it, y'all. Let's get into it. African American was the absolute worst title they could have given us, period. Now, if you still following me, if you still here, I want y'all to stay tuned, okay? Because I'm not some anti-African person. That's not what this is, okay? I just need y'all to follow me. And I feel like by the end of this video, when I get done breaking this down, all of us will be on the same page. So what I'm noticing is a lot of people from the diaspora feel like Black Americans are denying their African heritage. And then I'm also noticing that a lot of African Americans are discovering who they actually are. And that's what's going on in real time. People are digging, finding their ancestry. And a lot of us already knew our ancestry, but we're being more vocal about it. Now I'm going to tell y'all why I feel like African American was the absolute worst title Jesse Jackson could have given us in the 1970s. Because it literally erases our cultural identity, okay? It strips us from the Americans that we are and places us into this subcategory of being from Africa, which is a continent that many of us have never been and will never go. This isn't a topic of race. This isn't a topic of ancient history. This is literally about our ethnicity, our cultural identity, and how we choose to identify. Let me give y'all an example. You would not call a Jamaican person a Jamaican African. You wouldn't call a Dominican person African Dominican, although many of them do choose to identify as Afro-Latina. That's a relatively new term. You didn't hear people saying that 20 years ago. You wouldn't call a Haitian an African Haitian, and you wouldn't call a Trinidadian person an African Trinidadian. They know who they are. They have their own culture, as do we. I hear these Black British people saying, where are you from? They'll walk up to you and they'll ask you, where are you from? And then when you tell them I'm American, they'll say, no, where are you really from?
Wait, where are you from?
I'm American. I'm from New York.
No, that country.
The United States.
Wait. Are you African American?
I'm Black American.
No. So, what country? Like, where your family?
I was born in the United States.
No, your family.
Where's your mom and dad from?
Where's your mom, your granddad, your grandma?
My mom.
Your great-great-grandmother, born in 1872.
And whether y'all realize it or not, that's where a lot of this conversation stemmed from. A lot of these diaspora wars going on, that stemmed from the Black British people.
They don't understand that they don't understand that we have our own version of soul food. And though we call it, we might say it's African food or Nigerian food, Ghanaian food, Caribbean food, Canadian food, and traditional dishes, we have soul food over here. Soul food isn't exclusive to Americans. We just don't.
They've been in America for over 400 or 500 years.
I know they're from America, but they don't know where they're actually from.
The reason why Africans have this negative connotation on African Americans is because of the stereotypes, what they're seeing on TV. For an example, my mom, she's American. I don't know what part of Africa she was from. My dad, he's Ghanaian.
She's American,
But at the end of the day,
I don't know. They're American.
But,
you wouldn't say that to a Jamaican.
But they're African American, though.
Would you say a Jamaican don't know what part of Africa he's from?
Jamaicans are Caribbean, so they already have their own like,
What
hate-
Africa you
but
from?
he know where he comes from. He comes from Jamaica.
Where are you from, Rihanna?
California.
So what is your biggest culture shock living in the UK?
Black British people are always asking me where I'm from. And then when I tell them America, they're like digging for more.
They, for some reason, have it out for us. I don't know why, but they just can't accept the fact that we're American. And when you turn around and ask them where they're from, they'll turn around and say, oh, I'm Jamaican.
You Jamaican. And you telling me black Americans don't know where they're from? Tell me.
There's no explanation. I've already said what I said, innit? I'm sticking with that, bro.
You're not born in Jamaica, right?
No. My grandparents were born in Jamaica.
What is wrong with what I'm saying? You don't know history.
Tell me what I don't.
You don't know history.
Maybe I don't.
You're
But
in
you don't as well.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
No, what? We're not in the same boat. Bro, let me tell you something.
Black Americans, specifically. Now, don't get mad.
Get off your chest.
Black Americans specifically don't know where they originated from. That's it.
Prove it.
I don't need to prove it.
The hypocrisy in that statement is astounding. What people don't realize is that Jamaicans have African ancestry. So if you're going to say that a Black American doesn't know where they're from, then you have to turn around and say a Jamaican doesn't know where they're from either. You see how that works? Life didn't start in Jamaica, babe. Life didn't start in the Caribbean. There were Black Americans in the United States of America before it was even called that, long before people came to Jamaica. The way people treat Black culture, they treat it as if it's this new phenomenon, like it just was birthed in the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. No. I traced my ancestry back to the 1800s. I know for a fact that Black Americans have been in America since at least the 1600s, and the very first Black man to come over to America solo was in the 1500s, which means that a lot of our ancestors were here before slavery. They were here before colonization.
Cherokee Nation is acknowledging that it made a mistake in not extending citizenship rights to freedmen and their descendants until 2017, something its principal chief says should have been done 156 years ago under the Treaty of 1866. Kennedy Sepulveda, who reports on Native Affairs, joins us now with more on the long history that has culminated with an apology from Chuck Hoskin Jr. Kennedy.
That's right, Rich. And nearly 12,000 freedmen descendants have enrolled in the Cherokee Nation in the last 5 years. But just this month, the Cherokee National History Museum in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, unveiled a new exhibit that honors freedmen and shares their story.
We have to recognize that there were times that we imposed trauma on others.
Chuck Hoskin Jr., Principal Chief of the Cherokee Nation, says the tribe is facing its history by embracing the spirit of equality.
And I think any nation is a stronger nation if they tell the whole of their story, the tragedy, the triumph, and the chapters that are dark and difficult. And I hope people come here and, first of all, understand that that happened. But I also hope they come away with some hope that we're in a new era in which, yes, we're recognizing that history, but we're also working towards collective healing.
The new exhibit details slavery and emancipation on the Cherokee Reservation, details of the Treaty of 1866, the vote that relinquished Cherokee Freedmen citizenship, and the fight to reestablish those rights.
The most compelling part of the stories that were submitted by the Cherokee Freedmen community that are a large-scale installation of those community voices that tell the story that have not been told for more than a century.
My mother worked extremely hard for the rights of her children, her family, all of us. And so I must say, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that we've moved forward, and I am proud to say I am Cherokee.
Article 9 of the Treaty of 1866, signed by the Cherokee Nation, states all freedmen and their descendants shall have all rights of native Cherokees. However, in 2007, the Cherokee people voted to define citizenship as by blood, which cost 2,800 freedmen their tribal citizenship. Cherokee Nation reversed that decision in 2017, and the Cherokee Nation Supreme Court ruled to remove by blood from the Constitution in 2021.
We are going to hold the United States accountable for every part of every treaty that we have. We can't do it if we refuse to or deny the existence of provisions in the treaties that say, for example, we must give freedmen and their descendants all the rights of Native Cherokees.
And that's where the issue comes in, because when the colonizers got over here, they saw a lot of us living peacefully amongst other Native Americans. We identified with the Native Americans, and they decided to separate us. The European colonizers, they're the ones who decided to separate us, and they said, hey, if you a certain skin tone, you can't identify as Indian or Native American or whatever your tribe is. We're going to take you, and you're now going to be considered colored. And then after slavery, they labeled us Negro. And then in 1970, I believe it was 1973, we were reclassified as African American by Jesse Jackson, who I feel like is the biggest traitor, because when he made that decision, everybody else in that boardroom, they voted no. And somehow we still ended up with that label. Now, let me ask y'all something. Do you think if they would have left us as colored or Negro, do you think if they would have left that as our racial identifier, that other people from the diaspora will be coming over here claiming that word? Like, do you think that Africans will be coming to America calling themselves Negro or colored? No, they wouldn't. Which is kind of crazy, because I just got done having a discussion with this guy from Liberia on social media, and he said he was a first-generation African-American. You can't be a first-generation African-American. It doesn't work like that. You can't tether your way into somebody else's cultural identity. Also, there's been this talk of Black women. We are the most educated demographic in the United States. That's a fact. But nobody ever wants to give us our credit. So now what I'm saying is I'm starting to see Nigerians specifically saying that they're the reason for those statistics. First of all, let me break this down. It ain't even enough of y'all to try to claim that statistic. Because let's be clear, y'all don't even make up 1% of the population. Nigerians make up less than 1% of the population. Y'all make up less than 5% of the Black American population. So even if you were to tether onto us, if there were 100 of us in a room, 95 would be Black Americans and 5 would be y'all. Let me correct that. It's actually less than 2%. Y'all make up less than 2% of the Black population. You tell me how y'all make up for all of the doctors and all of the degrees in the Black American education system when there ain't even enough of y'all. Yeah, exactly. So when I pointed out this fact, there was another Nigerian who started arguing with me on Threads, and he pulls up some statistic that says that Nigerians are the most educated immigrants in America. Why don't these people understand that we are not immigrants? Yes, y'all are the most educated immigrants in America. We're not immigrants, babe. See, this is the problem that I'm having. They only want to tether onto us when the studies are in their favor, when the statistics are in our favor, and when we're doing good in the community. Then that's when they want to tether onto us. But when it comes to the bad statistics, like people being incarcerated and the murder rates and, Black on Black crime, oh, y'all not Black, y'all not a part of us. But when Black women have outnumbered everybody else in the country as far as degree holders, all of a sudden Nigerians are the reason for that? Let's be serious. The math don't even math. It ain't even enough of y'all to even hold a candle to us. If there were 100 degree holders in a room, only 5 of them would be Nigerian. There's only 300,000 of y'all compared to our 21 million. There are only 300,000 Nigerian American women compared to 21 million Black American women. You don't hold a candle to us. Now, I see a lot of people denying slavery ever happened. I think that is complete garbage and baloney. Slavery definitely happened. But what people don't understand is slavery didn't happen to all of us, and slavery is just one part of our history. There were many people who were here before slavery. We can't leave out the Louisiana Creole people. They had their own culture going on way before slavery. And then afterwards, we have the Gullah Geechee people, okay? We have the American Indians. We have Black people here living in America peacefully. And then let's get into this whole American Indian, indigenous topic, because a lot of people are trying to say that that's not real, it's not true. Black people are not native to this country, yada, 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 yada. Okay, let's look up the definition of indigenous or native. It's anyone who was here before European colonization. Okay, so where the confusion comes in is people think that when you say, oh, we got Indian in our family, they think that you're literally saying you're mixed. You do not have to be mixed to be Indian or Native American. That's not how this works. Black people are literally indigenous to this land. The problem is that when you think of indigenous, you think of white or the Asian looking people.
A lot of people don't know that America tends to cover up the history of its Afro-Native Americans, okay? So the Native American depiction that they mainly show in the mainstream is often a straight-haired, lighter-complected, almost Euro representing person. However, the kinky-haired, Black beings, we're also Native Americans. I am Native American in the flesh.
What a lot of people don't know is the people that you think are Native American, the people that you classify as Native American, they came from the continent of Asia 30,000 years ago. So if we want to be technical, nobody is indigenous to America if y'all want to spin it like that. If you want to spin it like that. But at the end of the day, you got to give them people their respect. Because those people who came from Asia 30,000 years ago, they were here before anybody. Now, that's just my opinion. When I say they were here before anybody, I say that's my opinion because there is a lot of people who disagree with that. But at the end of the day, they came here and built their own culture. Same thing with Black people. Black people already had their own indigenous culture in America before Christopher and Columbus and them came over here. So when you hear your granny and your great-grandma and all of them say, oh, we got Indian in our family, and then you turn around and you take a DNA test and the DNA test don't show not a lick of Indian, that don't mean that your grandma was lying to you, babe. Why would... I want to ask y'all something. Why would someone believe anything published by Europeans before you believe the tales of your family that your grandparents and your great-grandparents and your great-great-grandparents, everything that they have taught you, why would you toss that out of the window because something that a white man told you? Let's be for real here. The reason why a lot of Black people are not showing up as Native is because we weren't classified as that. I mean, you can look at my family right now. I'm going to show you pictures of my family tree. Here is my great-great-aunt who lived to be 103 years old. And she already told us our family tree. Do you think I'm going to listen to what a European person or any African person or anybody else has to tell me before I listen to my ancestors who I was blessed and privileged to get to know? See, I actually got to talk to my ancestors. My family lived long lives. My daughter was able to meet her great-great-grandmother. That's how deep my family tree goes. All of these pictures are people in my family. Me, my children, my grandma, my grandparents, my aunts, our entire family tree. Now, you're going to look at me and tell me that I'm 100% African? No Black American in America is 100% African. We've all gone through the process of ethnogenesis or ethnogenesis, and we have developed our own culture. That doesn't mean that many of us don't have African ancestry, because a lot of us do. What I'm saying is, unfortunately, due to colonization, we also have other ancestry as well. We're not going to even get off into how the slave masters was having babies and all of the things they was doing. Y'all already know about that, okay? We can also talk about how the Asian Native Americans and the Black Native Americans were having babies together. Like I said before, on my last